to stream. So she may join or she may watch it later. So please behave yourself.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
The trigger warning. All right. So the problem I have with trigger warnings, and I actually did this on the idea channels. I've made a comic on there. The problem I have with trigger warnings, if I knew everything you guys were going to say in a lecture, I could probably give a trigger warning about all the content that's in the lecture. But if I don't know exactly what you're going to say, one of you could say, "Oh yeah, that's just like the rape story I was reading about." Right? Now, I haven't trigger warning you that we're going to say someone might say something about rape during this lecture. And so does that mean you're not allowed to bring up that because we didn't warn that it might be here first? If I strictly control everything and it is strictly only me talking, and I've already thought of everything I might possibly say before I come to class. Yeah, so when we had the bachelor group, like in the first year game design course, where one of the groups made an Atoya Island board game, with Anders Breivik going around shooting people, right? That's a big trigger warning for Norwegians, right? But if they do it and they say it, do I say, well, no, you can't say anything unless I've warned people beforehand that somebody might say something about this thing? So for me, trigger warnings are actually a challenge because if at post hoc, right, for a video, we can go through the video, work out what, Simon said the word rape. So let's put rape, potential, well, that's not potential rape. Potential use of the word rape out of context. So yeah, what is the appropriate trigger warning?
So what do you guys think? Should we have trigger warnings in the universities or not? Because the discussion was whether it's appropriate to have trigger warnings in the universities. Because the risk is that then we stop actually discussing things that we should be discussing. And we should be open-minded and we should discuss everything. There should be no taboo topics at the academic environment which are not being discussed.
Unless we're in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually Australia bans things, but yeah. So, but no, so individually, do you feel your need for trigger warnings? So if someone would argue that none of you have post-traumatic stress disorder caused by an event that could be triggered by us saying something. He's twitching. He's twitching. Don't mention the wallabies. Yeah.
So yeah, I think trigger warnings are applicable to spaces which public can participate in. So like if we post something on the YouTube, yes, everybody can watch it, so then we should probably have trigger warnings. But if we're in the class, there is a global trigger warning for the whole class saying, things will happen and we will discuss.
Yeah. But we could have instead of trigger warnings, we could have flags. Like you reach a checkpoint like this,
Yeah.
You could make a whole bunch of flags that we can.
Yeah. All right. So back to class. I was actually so back to the rape. I was actually watching a video last night. Short.
rape?
No. The guy was saying that, and it's also a little bit controversial. So he was saying he would be fine in a society which doesn't tolerate, which doesn't talk about rape at all. So if someone rapes someone, it's kind of excluded from that society. So that topic never kind of comes up at all, right? It's not that we discuss it and we don't tolerate it. It's like we never discuss it because it doesn't kind of exist in that society. It shouldn't exist, right? So if it exists, that's already broken. It already means, we already went too far.
By talking about it, you acknowledge that it's a possibility.
Exactly, yeah. That we kind of acknowledge that is a possibility and that should never be discussed because that should never be a possibility, right? So he was giving an example of Reagan being criticized for being kind of a Holocaust denier, right? And he supposedly said, no. Every time, some of my friends come and say Holocaust never happened, I really disagree with them. And then he said, like, what friends are visiting you, right?
We visited you the amount of people who say.
So by just discussing it and acknowledging that I disagree with my friends who deny Holocaust, that's already broken. Like, you went too far. So he was kind of arguing that being tolerant or intolerant to rape shouldn't come up as a discussion topic because it should just by definition be never discussed. And you should be excluded from the society if you kind of do things like that, right? Which might be some of the idealistic kind of.
Well, there is and this happens in like child abuse and domestic abuse. There is a bit of the if you don't talk about it, it won't happen, right?
Yeah.
It's the same for sex and teenagers, right? Abstinence, we just don't talk about sex with teenagers, and if you don't talk about sex with teenagers, they just won't work it out.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work out so well.
All right, so back to this class. So who would like to talk first?
I'm talking today.
Yes? It's the only one talking today? So do you want the big screen? Or...
Think of the phone or something.
Yes. But she hasn't joined yet. Coming up.
Yeah.
Mobile games. Here we go.
Is everyone seeing over the box?
I will just change it. Just 1 second.
Fast. Okay, so I'll talk about some social technology support. By that I mean game services. I focused on the Google Play game services, which let you manage players, achievements, leaderboards, multiplayer, save games. Play game services APIs for Android, iOS, using the game services, you get less user management because they import the data. The setup process of the game process can be cumbersome. I used about 5 hours to set it up in one game, but then after that I can use 1 hour to do something that will take a week, like implementing the reports. So you invest some time in the beginning, but you save moments on further in the development. There is some requirements. All players have to have an Plus account to play the game. This is my game. Will you crash if you don't have it? And by the end of this, I think that player types that are engaged are the socializers and the game services also offer some achievements, so you can have some goals and achieve something. You get the points for doing tests and reaching new levels. It's actually a requirement to have at least 5 achievements in the game if you want to publish it with Play game services. All games that are connected to the Play services contribute to one global achievement point for auto score. So some people that like to collect achievement points may download all games and try to get achievement points for all games. And there are no rules for how easy or hard it should be to get achievement points. Other than that, it should be possible to accomplish. So some of those that really hunt for the achievement scores may want to do like their own games and just spend all the points in high achievements. Just to get the right times. And they also offer leaderboards. They have public leaderboards and friends only leaderboards. There are several levels in one game. You can have one leaderboard for each level. And you can look at the leaderboards in both daily, weekly, and all-time high basis. And they also offer a likely framework for multiplayer. They have both real-time and turn-based. In the real-time multiplayer, where all players have to be connected at the same time, and the maximum is 8 players. And they have a service that can auto match you with random players, or you can invite their friends. And they use the platform for messaging push notification.
So even on Apple, I have to have a Google Plus account.
Yeah. And they also have implemented events and tests. At first maybe sounds a bit like achievement, but events are more created for the developer actually, because events doesn't have to inform the user of anything, but it's very nice for a developer to keep track of users' action in the game. So for instance, if a user starts the level 1, I can send an event to the server and then I can make it some yeah, here is this is not events, but this looks like almost this is what the event would look like, because here I can see how many requests is made to the game each day. So this is just my testing, and I will testing each day.
But the events relate to like in-game events or the events with the API that you are using?
These events are in-game events.
Okay.
The events that I showed now was more of requests.
Mhm.
But this is the in-game events, so
Mhm.
you can
So,
trigger an event that.
so you define them and then you trigger them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can do it whenever you like. So I think to make statistics of how users use your game, it's really good to use user apps actively in development. You have a large quota of requests per user and per day, so you need many users to empty the request for the quota. Quest is more for the user, but quests require events. So quest is when you fulfill several events that you will find, and quest should give the user some points or in-game money. The good thing about quests and events is that if you, for instance, have a quest that is kill the monster 500 times, you don't have to keep track of how many times the monster has been killed. And if you trigger the event each time, the API is
Keeping track of
keeping track of your progress. So when it has been 500 times, you unlock the quest. So it takes a load off the program. It will be hard work to implement this between devices and everything. And use API inside of it. They also offer save games. means that is storing a binary large object with some metadata. This is stored on the Google Drive storage quota for each user. So you as a developer don't have to worry about how often you store or what you store, or how big it is, and if it's larger than given, because that's the max size.
But that's per one savings or per total saving? So can you have multiple saved games or just one?
I think just one, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
To use the API, they have a lot of quality requirements for how everything should work, and they have grouped the requirements in three categories. It's the required that is required, and best practice that you should do, but don't have to do, and good to have, but it makes your game better to play. And when you make a game, there is often a huge amount of things you have to think about. So having this checklist that they make is fun. Then you know what you should do, and don't forget anything important. They have some usage limitations. 15 million requests per day per game, or 5 requests per second per user. So don't unlock 10 achievements in 1 second. Then you are finding the achievements wrong. They say that you shouldn't give too many achievements in the first 5 minutes, so they have to work to get achievements. And if the quota is succeeded, you can get it expanded. And they quote, I quote, if your game is experiencing truly exceptional usage. So if you just program it really bad and send, because in the multiplayer thing they have some secure messaging system, and if you send a lot of this, you use a lot of requests. And also, if your point system is made of many points, like you get 1,000 points for beating a monster, you shouldn't send each point as separate one increments. You should send them in packages of 1,000, 10,000. Yeah, and that was the presentation of the services.
Mm-hmm. Did you do Apple as well or just Google?
No, just Google.
Okay. So both Apple and Google trying to help game developers to do games and to benefit from the from the mobile platform. So from what you've learned, would that make sense for you to use it in your Stolpe system, like to keep track of some of the things, achievements that the users kind of do? What do you think?
Maybe not in that particular app, because that app is created for a user group that, not all of them have the Google Plus, I think.
So that you see that as a kind of a limitation.
Yeah. It depends on what type of game it is.
Yeah.
So.
But we are going to use it for another system we're making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's more a game and just for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stolpe is trying to take all the population into
being more inclusive
Yeah.
and not technology constraining. Yeah. So what did you find any other things that Google helps game developers to do apart from the Google Play services, the ones that you talked about, for storing game state, leaderboards, achievements? Do they have anything else?
I think they have, but I don't know.
Right. So I've looked what Apple does, and historically they, like, the very first thing they did was similar. So they had the game center, and then you kind of have achievements and you have global leaderboards and so on. So it's very similar to what Google does. Then they've offered a sprite kit, which was kind of a 2D game engine built into a system. Then they've extended it with scene kit, which was a 3D one. So you could do 2D games or now 3D games. But they were seeing that developers are struggling to get some sort of a gameplay and logic kind of organized. So they have a gameplay kit now, which is nothing to do with 2D or 3D rendering, it's to do with the gameplay. So how you organize the actual logic of the game. So they kind of having 3 components now to support game developers to do that, to do games on iOS. And the latest one is coming out with iOS 9. So they're trying really hard to kind of help developers, develop games and so on. But it's a little bit problematic because in a sense it's a lock-in technology. So if you develop your game using their kits, you cannot really benefit from other platforms. You are kind of tied to iOS. So yeah, it sort of depends on what exactly you want to achieve and which platforms you want to target. So as you were saying, as a game studio, you often want to be multi-platform because then you have wider audience. And you want to benefit from being a little bit technology independent. So Google was doing it a little bit because they do offer the API for Android, for iOS, and for web. So you have JavaScript interfaces as well, and you can sort of do that from any web-based systems too. But yeah, your mileage may vary depending on what exactly you want to do. So I've used a little bit the sprite kit and the scene kit like about a year ago, and it was okay. It was quite easy to do some simple 2D scenes and 2D games. You had particle effects, you had physics, and they have really nice built-in debugging tools and OpenGL debugging tools. So it's quite nice to work with those tools. But as I'm saying, it's a little bit lock-in. So if you're only targeting iOS, then that's fine. But if you're wanting to republish your game on other platforms, then it's a little bit difficult to have a maintainable and multi-platform code. So yeah, so from the research you've done and from the reading you've done and experimentation you've done, what was the hardest thing? So you said you spent 5 hours setting things up, but so why was that hard?
The thing I used the most time on was the authentication of the app.
Mm-hmm.
So making Google believe that my app is my app. That was actually the hardest part,
Mm-hmm.
because I needed some hash of the key I used,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed some OAuth
Mm-hmm. Tokens, yeah.
Yeah, and that was hard to generate.
Mm-hmm.
And also their documentation on how to do it is not on one single page, it's spread, so you have to
Jump.
Yeah, and I think I got lost, but found a way.
Mm-hmm. And then so once you have that setup, you were saying that then you're saving time because you can program less.
Yeah, I have some code you can look at.
Yeah, that would be great.
So we can look at this is Android, and this is kind of the thing that connects or this doesn't connect, but this is making everything ready to connect.
Mm-hmm.
So just copy and paste this wherever you want to to access the map. And when you have this, you have to connect, and that's on the start. And then you're connected. So if the user is not signed in, the user has to either accept or decline. You have to regain access to your Google Plus info.
Mm-hmm.
Once that has been done, you get some.
Callbacks.
Then more or less you have to ask the user to sign in. That's the thing.
All right.
Because you don't have a Google account on your iPhone.
Yeah.
And some auto start sign in flow. I'm not using it because I just it's just a test. But if you set this to false, then the user has this as sign in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have some here. So press the achievements button. I should get a list of all the achievements in the game, and that's done by on this line.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get a nice screen that shows achievements. So I will show it. This is the list of achievements. So I just make 2 achievements for the game, so it's not
Mm-hmm. Because you need 5 minimum.
Yeah. 5.
Do they offer some standard icons, or you have to use
No,
your own icons?
have to use your own, unless you want this.
Yeah, placeholders.
Actually, you can't use this.
It's against the guideline.
Yeah. It says in the to try to publish. It says you have to add icons for achievements.
Yes.
And you need 5 achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And also I have some, because to unlock an achievement, you have to do that as well. And I have 2 achievements. It's the 1 achievement is to get more than 100 points. Then this code is good.
Mm-hmm.
And also there is another achievement that is get no points. So you can look at the achievements in the console. This is the get 0 points,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the get more than 100 points.
Mm-hmm.
So I try just to get 0 points. It shouldn't be so hard. Okay, so I got 0 points. And then here should now, I don't know if it's just make it so maybe that will be there. It's actually in the wrong.
Yeah, because that's else for the duration,
Yeah.
not for the points.
That's how you unlock achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And I also implemented some video watch. This is how you submit score to leaderboard. I would just, if you click the test button, you get 100 points.
Mm-hmm.
And to show all the leaderboards, you just make this score. So you have to provide some string, which is the identification, and this is the identification.
Mm-hmm.
You provide that, and if you have test button, they open it and you show you the leaderboard. game is interesting, so I'm on maybe it might be
Yeah. So you haven't played with the quests? With
quests?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I started it because I need some events for my game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to use quests.
Mm-hmm.
But events I want to implement
Mm-hmm.
much. It's the same. This kind of request and you're done. So
Mm-hmm.
very convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient.
But for the achievements, you have to keep track of the points and unlocking the achievement manually. But for the quests, you just declare it and they will be fulfilled as soon as the certain events happen automatically.
You have some incremental achievements as well.
Okay.
Yeah, incremental achievements. So this is the. So then you just send progress to use the increment.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Increments
Towards the achievement. Yeah.
Same as the game set.
Yeah. Okay. So did you work with Game Center?
I've been using it, but the sandbox testing
Mhm.
is horrible.
Mhm.
It doesn't update unless you have, I don't know, it's 5 or 3 or something test users, but
Mhm.
test users don't submit data, so we don't have free users. And this is a year ago or something, so
Right.
it
Okay.
has been some complaints about sandbox testing being horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are you going to test it if you can't test it? That's
Exactly. So
doesn't work. Like,
I really like the Google approach. Like, you can test it, publish something, which then you republish again, as long as you have some initial things already set up, because there is no review, and you can release a beta thing and then republish it later. Whereas with Apple, you have this kind of cage, and you have to invite the testers, and it's a little bit harder to get people actually testing your game. And the really annoying thing was that the testers have to have Apple ID as well. So you have to be actually signed up. Yeah. Even if you're not developer, you still have to have an account as if you were, which is a bit weird. Yep, all right. So let's have a short break, and then we will continue the discussion. So I will leave the feed on. She didn't come yet, but she may. So what was the game? Just clicking on buttons thingy. Yeah.
supposed to hit every second or every.
Be
other-
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. To get the.
And then it tracks how often each second
Yeah.
you're.
Yeah.
Then you can see. Oh. And then you can choose how many seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to use events so that if you haven't done this, you can't do this.
The other ones, yes. Yeah.
Because 5 seconds is good.
Right.
Because you're testing your internal clock, right?
That's
Every
right.
5 seconds.
Yeah. So second is the easiest. Yeah, 5
You
will
get the
rhythm.
the beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
So now the achievement should be.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's green now. Okay.
But if I can start.
Ja, ja.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Da vet jeg hva jeg må gjøre.
I'm bugging.
Now I have to make icons.
Yeah. Simple game. Simple idea.
No,
Good for testing.
that was someone asked us to make the game for them. That game.
That game.
Yeah. So it was more of an app.
Right.
And so we thought, and then we made, yo man, we can game it, right? We
Yeah.
can gamify it.
So someone wants to train to be a human metronome.
Yeah. I think he's involved with some cultural thing at Högskolan i Lillehammer.
Right.
So I think he is involved in music or something. So
Yeah.
that might be something to
Keep the rhythm.
keep drummer or bass.
So can you go to Android Studio first? how you scale the font script? How you make it larger and smaller?
You just inch and zoom.
Really?
Yeah, because you struggle with that on the lecture. Yeah.
I struggle with that in the class, and no way it's that simple. I'm gonna try it because I think I tried it. What's that?
This is one